Now listen, most JRPGs take on these tropey things of defeating God in the name of defending the universe, but sometimes, honestly, it's kind of nice just to have a protagonist want just love and to find their prince through the medium of some very suspect ice cream. Bear with me on this. Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joesephyr, and today I'd like to extend my great thanks to Nippon Ichi Software for gifting me a copy of Rhapsody, Marl Kingdom Chronicles to play and showcase to you all whilst giving you my thoughts and review on the game itself. The games present in Marl Kingdom Chronicles, which are Rhapsody 2, Ballad of the Little Princess, and Rhapsody 3, Memories of Marl Kingdom, have never actually been released outside of Japan until this very collection. And so, having not played a Rhapsody game since 2009 with Rhapsody DS, I was really excited to give this new retro collection a go. So Rhapsody 2 and 3 are traditional turn-based JRPGs, which might actually be surprising to people who may have played the original, considering that Rhapsody: A Musical Adventure was a tactical RPG, more similar to the likes of Disgaea and Nippon Ichi's other tactical RPGs, though on a significantly smaller and easier scale. Rhapsody's a lot more light-hearted than many other games of its ilk, being reminiscent of like 90s animes, things like Cardcaptor Sakura or Sailor Moon, which, like those franchises, is not to say that Rhapsody doesn't have heartfelt moments in it, because it most certainly does, which I won't touch on for fear of spoilers, but for the most part, expect cartoon gags and silliness to ensue here. I would say that I'd recommend these games for kids, but there are moments where sort of, you know, characters take potions in order to make their boobs bigger and things like that. So yeah, very silly, also extremely anime. If you're familiar with Nippon Ichi's other RPGs, particularly their tactical games, as I mentioned earlier, like Disgaea, Makai Kingdom, that kind of thing, you might recognize a lot of the characters, enemies, and references that are present in Rhapsody, as elements like the Rosen Queen Company, the character of Marjorie, the Eringer mushroom enemies, all originated in this franchise starting the Marl Kingdom. So seeing the origins of some of these staples has been a real joy. So Rhapsody 2 follows the story of Princess Kururu, the daughter of the main character Cornette from the first game, as she follows her mischief to escape her castle and find her prince to fall in love with, along with her friends Randy and Sonia, which are knights that protect her throne, and Kreia, the daughter of Etoile, who was the companion character from the first game. While Rhapsody 3 is more of an omnibus of episodic content containing stories with Cornette and Etoile from the first game, Kururu and the villains of the franchise, and just lots of little episodes and bits and pieces you can expect from across the Marl Kingdom franchise. The gameplay also differs slightly between the two games, with Rhapsody 2, which is the game that I personally enjoyed more and spent significantly more time with. It has a simple but effective monster catching system combined with traditional JRPG party elements, which gives you a cohesive but simple and enjoyable combat experience. Rhapsody 3 adds to this by creating parties of 12 characters divided into rows of 4, but only being able to control the members at the front of the party and having to take turns to kind of swap in between them. Now, I felt that the combat of Rhapsody 3 kind of overcomplicated the really lovely formula that Rhapsody 2 had, not to a point where it was a real issue, but enough that I felt much more of a gravitation towards the second game. So both games do have a lot in common. Puppets are your primary source of combat in the Rhapsody games, being given some at the start of each game, including one that has the rather unfortunate name of Shart, which still makes my puerile mind giggle with every time. Those puppets cost money, which you'll earn at the end of each fight, to take actions, as opposed to MP or anything like that. You have to spend money in order to cast spells through the medium of your puppets. Then each action that you take with those puppets can add a note to a musical gauge that enables special AoE attacks, or you can expend HP to execute various special attacks that are tied to the puppeteers themselves, or characters who can't control puppets, like Sonia and Randy, who I mentioned earlier. Rhapsody is cited a musical adventure with good reason, and you can expect numerous, frequent musical numbers throughout both games, with endearing kind of karaoke-style lyrics to follow on the screen if you're really into it, which might be a bit twee for players expecting something a bit more grandiose. But honestly, I really miss the days where games like this could be a bit more silly and not take themselves quite so seriously. Do you remember the old mystical ninja starring Goemon games? Remember Gorgeous My Stage? Think stuff like that. To be honest with you, it's honestly refreshing to play a franchise that isn't so ingrained in JRPG tropes, at least not the ones where you're fighting gods and having crazy expositions and Deus Ex Machinas come out of nowhere toward the end of the game, in favour of a much more simple story featuring a girl who just simply wants to find her prince and fall in love. This game is very much a product of its time, you know, citing things like women can't become knights and various points, but don't worry, the character that refers to is actually awesome. And certain points may cause you to raise an eyebrow, but if you know Nippon Ichi's humour well through games like Disgaea, you'll know exactly what kind of things to expect here. So who would I say that this game is for? So you will get a decent amount of game for your buck with the Rhapsody Marl Kingdom Chronicles, giving 2 full-length RPGs, one of which I finished, the other one I haven't, both having pros and cons in their own ways. I personally much prefer Rhapsody 2 to 3. I think that it being a remake of a PS1 title rather than a PS2 one, I think it somehow fits that retro feel a lot more nicely. Given the way that backgrounds look in Rhapsody 3, I think the story's better in Rhapsody 2, I think the combat's better in Rhapsody 2. I just like Rhapsody 2 a lot more in general, so I think that that should be the focal point for the collection as a whole. But if you're looking for a JRPG that is massive scale, spectacle, combat, massive bosses, huge endgame things to go through, maybe this isn't for you. However, if you want something that is dialed back a little bit, brings us back to that era of kind of cartoons and anime that allows itself not to take itself so seriously all the time, with combat that's not super challenging, but in depth enough that you can play around with it, there's tons of monsters to collect throughout both games, then there's a lot to love here with Rhapsody Marl Kingdom Chronicles. You've got a lot of game, you've got a lot of heart, and you've got a lot of love. So that's going to be all of my thoughts on Rhapsody Marl Kingdom Chronicles. I did really enjoy my time, certainly with Rhapsody 2. Thank you ever so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications of any future videos I might be making. And if you would like to support the channel like all the wonderful people that you can see on the screen right now, I would invite you to take a look at my Patreon link down in the description box below as well. If you wanted to do that, you can get title cards made just for you, just like all the people you can see on the screen here, to be featured in all of my videos. And as I move forward doing a lot more content for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis and other games like that, I'll be featuring a lot of polls and things like that you can also get involved with. Thank you all very much for considering joining in and supporting the channel. As a full-time creator, it means a great deal to me that people want to do that. And thank you once again to Nippon Ichi Software for gifting me a copy of this game. I actually have been really enjoying covering some of Nippon Ichi's more recent titles. It's harkening back to kind of my school days where I played Disgaea Hour of Darkness at 15 years old and discovering what a prinny was for the first time. So it's been really lovely and heartfelt to be able to get involved with some of the games that they've been producing. Thank you all very much again for watching, and I shall love you and leave you with that. Thank you, and I will see you next time. Take care.